So Germany had just had an election, and if you're paying attention to the polls, the results are not that surprising. They're more or less in line with the polls. With regard to voter fraud, I can't speak to that because I don't know exactly how Germany conducts its elections. So if there was fraud or not, I don't know. If there was, it wouldn't surprise me that much given the state of the political situation around the world and the elite's fear of populism. That populist party in Germany, in this case, was called the AFD, the Alternative for Deutschland Party, and was headed by Alice Weidel. This was the coalition that Elon Musk and many other people in the West who pays attention to politics was hoping would win for the sake of Germany. Germany is a Western country. It's a very interesting history, but they're a very industrious, hardworking. They're known German engineering to be very precise. I mean, you got a lot of car companies that were founded in Germany. I don't have to go into detail about that. Germany's in a dead smack in the middle of Europe. It's the industrial heart of Europe. And without Germany being in the EU, there wouldn't be an EU. Even though it was a project that was started by France, actually. But nonetheless, Germany has sort of taken it over. Now, the EU is a globalist institution. It is not something that's serving German needs, as evidenced by the last 4 years, especially, and even before that, really more than a decade, if you include the immigration crisis and the EU rules, or the globalists who want mass migration, essentially replacement migration with, essentially, these are barbarians. And I'm not saying that because I'm not making that comment as a slander to the ethnicity, but rather the culture that these people are coming from. So the AFD wanted border controls and deportations, and they wanted a Germany that economically makes sense, deals with Russia. Of course, like I said, Germany's been really screwed over with its partnerships with NATO and the EU. Nord Stream pipeline was blown up by the US. There was sanctions so that Germany couldn't do business with Russia. Of course, a lot of business people didn't do it anyway, but they were prohibited from doing so. And got themselves involved in a proxy war that Olaf Scholz tried to walk backwards. He would say no more equipment to Ukraine, etc. Unfortunately, as a result of this election, Friedrich Merz is the guy who won. His coalition won. And his is a coalition of actually two parties. I'm not going to go into detail about that, but he is a globalist. He was a former chairman of BlackRock in Germany. That tells you a lot right there. I'm sure he was a politician. He went into the private sector. Presumably he got these connections while he was in politics. And because of his political connections, the private sector sought to hire him. At least that's my assumption. Usually that's how these things work. There's a revolving door between the corporations who have a relationship with government, and then you have the government, and the FDA and the like Monsanto's another case in point of that happening. But anyway, so yeah, a globalist is likely to be the next chancellor, and he's made it very clear that he does not want to form a coalition with the AFD, which means despite getting 20% of the vote, predictably, and this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, but the parties are already looking to ways to sideline the AFD so that they don't have a say in what goes on, or have relatively little say in what goes on in Germany. This is not a surprise. I could have told you that this was going to happen. If for some reason, if the AFD won, they could have pulled a Romania and said, oh, well, there was Russian influence in the election and canceled the election, like they did with Georgescu. They don't have to do that. AFD came in second place, a strong second place. Vital had more votes than Schultz did. But nonetheless, I think it's pretty clear that they will not form a coalition government with the AFD. So good for the AFD for increasing their vote share by a significant margin. Unfortunately, that's not going to turn Germany around, and Germany is still very much in the clutches of the globalists. So anyway, I wish the country the best of luck.